Hello everyone, and welcome to Bowie Business Journal. I'm Diane Palangan, your host today. I'm with Total Tax Service and I am a Chamber of Commerce member. And my guest today is Matt Slovak, and he is with Aflac, and we're going to find out all about Aflac today. Welcome. Thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So, first I'd like, before I find out all about Aflac, I'd like to know a little bit about you. You work out of your home, so one of the nicest things is to work and live in the same place without the transportation, but
exactly.
It must make it difficult to find new clients.
Well, that's the thing. I do work out of my home, but I'm usually on the road most of the day.
Okay.
Because I've been with Aflac for 10 years now, so I have a lot of clients that I service, a lot of appointments that I run. And once you're in this organization for a while, you get the opportunity at some larger clients to service. So for example, I'm involved in the DC government enrollment. It's Aflac's fourth largest client with 36,000 employees. So we have to put together a team of agents to go down to DC.
Yeah.
And we just had training yesterday actually for this year. And open enrollment starts in November. So from mid-November to the end of December, I'm going to be
I want to come back to that open enrollment because that's important for people who work for the government to know about it.
Correct.
Before you started working with Aflac, were you selling insurance?
I was not, and it's sort of a strange path, I guess. Well, first of all, I don't think anyone who works for Aflac went to college to be an Aflac agent.
Yeah.
Most of the people in my office came from another line of work. I was a journalism major, and I was a journalist my whole career until I got laid off.
Okay.
And as you know, the journalism industry is still not that strong.
Right.
I mean, newspapers are closing. The digital side is wonderful, and people all over the world can read, for example, the Washington Post now or the New York Times. And I was living in the area, I had children in the area, and I always used to go to where the jobs were. And I decided, well, let me see what I can do here. And I got the call from Aflac. They do recruit heavily in this region. And I went to the meeting and I thought, you know what? Let me try something different. I've been a journalist my whole life. I was pretty good at it. I could always go back to it. But I never thought about owning my own business and being an entrepreneur. And I started.
So you're like a statutory employee?
What's that?
A statutory employee?
Yeah, I'm a 1099, so I'm an independent.
Right.
So I have the privilege
But they
to be
pay your
appointed with Aflac.
Medicare and things.
No.
So you're not a statutory employee. You
No,
are a
I'm a
1099.
1099, yeah.
Interesting.
Totally independent. So, yeah, so I started 10 years ago, joined the Bowie Chamber of Commerce 10 years ago, which helped lead me to getting the city of Bowie as one of my first clients. And from then on, it's been great.
Oh, well, that's great. The city is one of your clients. That's nice to know. One of the things about the insurance, that exam is a real bear. Did you have to take that exam?
Yes, I did. And I had been out of college for like 20 years when they told me I had to take this exam and, you had to get a certain score to pass. And again, I didn't know anything about the insurance industry. It's good that the insurance industry is regulated, but yes, you do have to take that test. So I went through all the steps. And they said you should be able to take it after like 10 days to 2 weeks, but I waited 3 weeks to take it to make sure when I hit that button that it came back and told me that I passed. So,
yeah, I know some people who have taken it several times before they passed it.
Absolutely,
It's a bear.
Yeah, you have to go to a special place, bring 2 IDs to make sure no one's taking the test for you. So, but yeah, and that's when you first start with Aflac, or probably any insurance company, you're learning the business, you're going to trainings, but you're studying for your test, and all the new agents were all talking about the test, and then someone goes and takes it, and you're, wow, how was it? Is it really hard? So, but I was ready, so I passed on my first time.
Well, good for you, because I understand it is really tough. And actually, the way people talked about the exam, it scared me from wanting to study about insurance. I said,
right.
I'm too old to have to go through that right. again. So.
But when we are recruiting new agents, and and I'll tell them, well, you just have to take one test, and to make it sound easier, I tell them it's easier than getting your driver's license because you have to take a test and drive to pass your driver's test. Where here you just have to pass a test.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And to be with Aflac, you just have to be older than 18 and not a convicted felon.
And, and pass the test.
Pass the test, yes.
So we have the logo behind us, and everybody knows the duck, and I think everybody's in love with the duck. I mean, that's very, very cute. So if you flash that on without Aflac, everybody would say, Aflac.
I've heard that a million times, right.
But people don't know what Aflac is.
You are correct.
And so that's why we have you here today to tell us what Aflac is.
So in a nutshell, well, let me just get started with the duck itself. The duck commercials were created, I think, 11 to 12 years ago, or longer than that. But over
Gilbert Gottfried,
yes, he was the original voice, and they were created for brand recognition. And in a short period of time, Aflac got up to a 94% brand recognition. So most people in our country know the Aflac duck. But headquarters tells us if you stop 100 people on the street and ask them what Aflac actually does, only 3% get the answer correct. And they're probably the 3% of people who have Aflac. So what Aflac is we're not health insurance, and some people think we are.
Oh, see, I thought it was a secondary insurance.
But health insurance does two things. It pays your doctors and it pays your hospitals. So if you have a Care First card, that doesn't work in an ATM. It can't buy you groceries. It can't pay your rent or mortgage. The whole concept behind Aflac is all the benefits go to you, and then you can use the money for whatever you need it to be. It could be for paying bills. It could be for paying co-pays or deductibles. And you can add family members. People don't think about, they might have a spouse or child who gets severely injured or sick, and they might have to take time off from work to become a caregiver. Well, at least through the Aflac policies, you still have money coming in to help make sure that you can, say, stay in your house or not go bankrupt or get into a lot of financial trouble.
How does that work? I know in the past there used to be insurances that while you were in the hospital, they paid cash to you while you were in the hospital.
Correct.
Nobody keeps you in the hospital anymore. You're in.
Right.
I had hip surgery. I was home the same day.
Correct.
So nobody keeps you. How do you apply, and how do they determine how long they pay you?
Pay you? Good question. Well, it depends on your policy. We do have short-term disability, which is income replacement.
Oh.
So, you know, and you can get it for 3 months or up to 2 years. So, you know, let's say you had your hip replaced and you were still working, but you couldn't work for a month. Well, we would pay a portion of your income for a month.
Is there a particular portion you pay?
We pay about 60% of your pay, which is pretty standard. By law, you can only get up to 72%.
Is that taxable?
We do it so if you receive the benefits, you do not have to pay tax on them. What happens is if you're an employee and the company gives you it as a benefit, any money you get then you do have to pay taxes on because
it's paid by a third party.
Correct.
So that's a benefit that the people pay for themselves.
Yeah, all our benefits are termed voluntary benefits.
All right.
So they get a chance to pick them up themselves.
I'm sorry, I want to back up on that. That's a really important issue, because people might say, why aren't you paying that to me as a benefit? Well, it would be a taxable benefit then.
Right.
So this way, they don't have to pay tax on it, which 60% is almost like your entire pay when you figure you're in a 35% tax bracket for federal, and then you're in 7.9% for the state.
Exactly.
You're really up there, so you're not missing all. And then when you put in your transportation and parking, you're really probably not losing anything. You're probably coming out ahead a little bit.
You're certainly right. And what you brought up is just over the last 10 years I've been with Aflac, for 20 years, the way health insurance has gone up, co-pays, deductibles. When I had my first job, knock on wood, I was lucky. But my health insurance was 100% paid for by the employer. I had dental, I had vision, life insurance. Well, now, if you look at somebody's benefit package, not a bigger company, but some of the decent-sized companies, they only offer, say, health insurance, dental and vision, life, a 401k now, because they can't afford to give the other benefits. So what we can do is come into a company and bring in a cafeteria plan of other benefits that employees can pick up, what they need. We have plans for accidents. We have plans for hospital stays, which is part of our maternity package. We have plans for cancer.
Oh, do you?
Aflac started 63 years ago with just the cancer policy. We have a critical care policy. So depending on someone's needs, they can pick up a policy that if something would happen to them, they would still be getting money.
One catastrophic illness can wipe somebody out. Unbelievable.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Harvard University did a bankruptcy study, and they found out that more children live through bankruptcy than divorce in this country.
Oh.
And 78% of the people who file for bankruptcy have health insurance. But in 2/3 of the cases, it's because of a sickness or injury. Now think about it. If you're an hourly employee, if you don't work, you don't get paid. So you're in a bad car accident, you can't work for a month. No income for a month. If you, God forbid, are diagnosed with cancer, you might be going for treatments for 3 or 4 months. And then there's out-of-pocket costs a lot of times with cancer patients. Myself, I have a $5,000 deductible on my health insurance. If I was diagnosed, say, with cancer at the end of this year, and I would have to pay that $5,000 before my treatment started, then the calendar changes, January, I have to pay that $5,000 again.
Yeah. I know that'll change when you get on Medicare, but
Right.
because you're self-employed,
Exactly.
you pay a higher premium
Correct.
for your insurance. I know I was paying that
Yeah,
forever.
and that's where Aflac comes in too. Not only if you're an employee and you're trying to decide you want to keep your premiums lower, you might pick that high deductible insurance, health insurance, if you're relatively healthy, and then pick up some Aflac. So what you're saving on your health insurance premiums, what you're paying in Aflac, you're still plus. Like for me, with my plan, I have if I would get a lower deductible, my health insurance would be $300 more per month. Well,
right.
I'm putting that in the bank now. I'm not giving it to the insurance company. I'm putting it in the bank.
Right.
I have $100 of Aflac. So I'm actually saving a couple $100 a month on my insurance needs. And with I have an accident plan and a hospital plan. If I spend one night in the hospital, 2 or 3 nights in the hospital, let's say, I'm going to get almost $5,000 from Aflac. So that's going to pay my deductible.
Oh, wow. Okay, so being in the hospital obviously proves your short-term disability. Not everybody will have a short-term disability by being in the hospispital. So
Right.
what is it you have to come up to show? I mean, what kind of other things does that short-term disability cover?
Well, the disability covers any off-the-job accident or any sickness up to a period of time. But our other plans pay per event. If something happens, you get a certain amount of money.
As?
And like with our accident plan, if someone is in an accident, they go to the doctor, they're going to get $120. ER, $170. If they're hospitalized, they're going to get $300 a day up to a year.
ER too.
But they're going to get the first night, they're going to get an additional $1,500. And then it covers you all through the accident. There's money if you need an ambulance ride. There's money if you need crutches. There's money if you need physical therapy.
Ooh.
And I'm a walking testimonial to Aflac. I have 2 daughters who I love dearly, but they're injury prone. So the first 2 years I was with Aflac, I filed 10 claims on the accident plan.
Yeah.
And that's another great thing about Aflac is once you lock into a rate, it's your rate for life.
Oh, is it?
We never have a rate increase. And if you leave the company, you can take it with you at the rate you're locked into.
Wow. So you can get it, it's less obviously when you're younger and healthier.
It depends on the plan.
Yeah.
Like our accident plan has no age band. So whether you're 18 or 65, it's the same price. Some of our other plans like the critical care, as you get older, the rates go up because statistically, some of those things happen, heart attack, stroke, kidney failure when someone's older. But again, once you lock into that rate, you never have a rate increase.
So you said critical care, which makes me think of nursing home care.
Well, our critical care covers health events, for example, of a heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, coma. So if one of those things happens, you get a certain amount of money, anywhere from $5,000 to $7,500.
Okay.
And then there's money that would cover you for each day that you're in the hospital, if you're in the intensive care unit. So again, if something catastrophic happens, the money can add up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like in the accident plan, a coma pays $12,500.
Yeah, you know, I was on the news the other day that a woman went into the hospital and her insurance paid the hospital bill and every other thing, but it didn't pay the doctor, and she got a $35,000 doctor bill because he
Wow.
was not on the insurance plan. Now, how do you know what insurance plan the doctor in the emergency is on?
Right, exactly.
And there again, you can be wiped out by one misleading thing. So I guess if any of us have to go to the hospital, we need to be sure that everyone is covered on the insurance that we
Absolutely.
have.
I
Yeah.
actually, you know, with the Affordable Care Act, one of the things it had in there that colonoscopies were free. But then I read somewhere that people went in and then they got charged by the anesthesiologist, by the doctor, by the room. So before I had mine a few years ago, I called ahead of time to make sure that mine was going to be taken care of for free, and it was. But because of the plan I had with Aflac, I also got a check for $300 from Aflac for getting a free colonoscopy. So
My
I actually
goodness.
put money in my pocket.
My goodness. So we're covered for cancer and stroke and a lot of catastrophic illnesses.
Absolutely.
And then you mentioned, so it's of course less expensive if you just buy medical, right?
Well, basically we go business to business. I can sell directly, but we don't have the same policies and they're more expensive. So I go through a company. Usually, well, it's a bigger company, they're already supplying the health insurance. If they're smaller companies, they're getting it on their own or through the exchange. So we're just in there to basically fill the gap.
Okay, so
fill
it's
the
like
need.
little packages, the package A, package B, like when
Correct.
you're picking out your Medicare.
Absolutely.
Do you want this plan
Right.
or that plan?
And what I try to do with people, I mean, most people have never heard of Aflac before, and you start giving them all this information at one time, it can become overwhelming.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is take things off the table. Because I use the example, if you go to a restaurant and there's 100 things on the menu, it's hard to make up your mind.
Right.
But if there's 3 things on the menu, you're probably going to make your mind up pretty quickly. So I'll ask people, and that's part of, I think, what I like about my business too, is I get to sit down with people, you know, ask them their questions, their personal life, their health issues, and then I can, you know, put together a plan that I think would be best for them. But I'll ask them, do they have any concern of heart disease in their family? If they're a young 25, 26-year-old, no, I'll take it off the table. I always try to educate people about the cancer plan because, you know, October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you're going to hear that 1 out of 8 women get breast cancer. You know, if you're watching NFL games, they have pink on their gloves and their cleats. But the actual cancer statistics are 1 out of 3 women and 1 out of 2 men get cancer in their lifetime.
All right.
So 40% of Americans are going to get cancer, and considering we're in less than 10% of businesses and 3% of people know what Aflac is, that's telling me probably only about 2 or 3% of Americans have cancer insurance.
Well, I don't have cancer insurance, but now I've had cancer, so
Right.
it's a little late. My husband's had cancer.
Right, and even the thing with Aflac, even if someone has had cancer, once they're treatment free for 7 years, they can sign up for our cancer policy. And I have a friend that belongs to the chamber. She was diagnosed with cancer, and with health insurance, her medical bills were $60,000. So our cancer plan, the average claim we pay after someone has finished treatment is about $35,000. So it doesn't cover the whole thing,
No.
but at least, I mean, that's a lot.
That's a big chunk out of it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I had another question I wanted to ask you, but you know, the age thing just crept in. So I do want to get back to this open season.
Oh, the open enrollment
Because
time. Right.
Open enrollment, is that the same as open season?
Yes.
Because that's very confusing. I know it comes with all health insurance.
Correct.
And it comes with Medicare, and every year they say it's open enrollment, open
Right.
season. What does that mean?
Well, open enrollment is the time of year when employees can make changes to their current policies. So generally, like a lot of our plans are pre-taxed. So you're not only getting the benefit of a lower rate through a company, but then that premium is coming out of your check pre-taxed. So you're saving 25 to 28% or whatever your tax bracket is. So, but it's an IRS law that you can only make changes once a year during open enrollment if it's a pre-tax plan, unless there's a change in family status. For example, you got married, divorced, had a child. So this is a time of year when people can look at the benefits that they have in place and make any changes to them.
Oh, well, it's not as difficult as I thought it was.
Now, the great thing about Aflac is a lot of businesses, their open enrollment is January 1st, and it goes by calendar year. That's why I'm doing, DC government now. I'll be doing Genesis Healthcare now. But we can go into a company at any time of year, and if they become a client on April 1st, then their plan year is April 1st. And what I like about that is when we come in at the same time as open enrollment, there's so much information about health insurance and are you going to keep your dental plan? Are you going to do the high deductible plan? Are you going to do the PPO or the HMO? And so I go to these open enrollment meetings, and the insurance associate, their insurance agent talks for an hour and 15 minutes, and people are glossed over from all this information. And then I get about 10 minutes to get up there and talk about Aflac. One of the things I love is the first thing I can say is, well, we haven't had a rate increase again because we've never had a rate increase. Many health insurance, some employees, they see they're going up 10 or 20%. And then I do a quick, presentation of each policy, and then I make myself available for questions afterwards. But if we go in outside of open enrollment, we can be the show. We can be not the second fiddle. So what I like about that is, we can have a lunch and learn. We can have raffles, and then we're the focus of the meeting. And if people have questions, and if it's a bigger company, we bring a team of agents in that can answer questions and get people enrolled as quickly as possible. So I sort of like doing it outside of a open enrollment, so we can be the focus. On the other hand, if we're a part of an open enrollment, people can see their benefits all in one, like, okay, my health insurance is going to cost this, if I pick up Aflac, it's going to cost that. Oh, but if I get the high deductible and get some Aflac plans, it'll actually save me on my health insurance premium. So there, it can work out. Wow. Well,
this is really interesting. Is there a maximum amount that they will pay out over a lifetime? Like some insurances have a maximum. They may say $1 million lifetime ceiling.
Not really. I mean, like for our accident plan, you could file a claim every day, 365 days a year, as long as it's a different accident. Some of our, in the cancer plan, it's at $600. Injected chemo gets you $600 a week, no lifetime maximum. So actually, I have a client here in Bowie that was diagnosed a couple years ago, and he sent me an email and said, I just got diagnosed with bladder cancer, I'm going to be missing work. What's the first thing I need to do? I said, send in your pathology report. And his first check from Aflac was $4,000.
Oh my.
And then every time I could see my claims, and every time he went for that chemo treatment, he was getting that check for $600. So people can worry about getting healthy and not about, oh, I have to get back to work.
Right. Well, that's an important thing. We talked a little bit, just briefly touched about pre-existing, because we talked about cancer, and you said you had to be 7 years cancer-free.
For the cancer plan, right.
For the cancer plan. What about other pre-existing conditions?
Great question. And Aflac's come a long way on that. Our accident plan, no pre-existing clause. Our disability is guaranteed issue. However, if you do have a pre-existing condition and you're disabled because of a pre-existing condition, we're not paying that claim in the first 12 months. After the 12 months, you're covered. Now, in the old days, we would ask underwriting questions, health questions, and if they answered yes to any of them, they would not be able to get coverage. Well, now they can. If they're disabled because of a pre-existing condition in that first year, they're not covered. But I have a client had an autoimmune condition, and she was a massage therapist. And she'd be massaging someone, whatever oils were on their body, she'd break out, and she couldn't work for weeks. Sometimes she was hospitalized. Well, she couldn't get our disability plan before it was guaranteed issue. Well, now she was able to get it, and now she's covered for the rest of her life. So our accident plan is guaranteed issue, our disability is, our hospital plan is broken up in 3 segments, and the top 2 are guaranteed issue. So even if you have had cancer, if you've had a heart attack, you're still going to be able to get parts of our hospital plan. And then our critical care and our cancer plan, the cancer question is basically, have you had cancer? And if you have you been treatment-free for 7 years?
Yeah, what kind and, yeah.
Right. Now our critical care plan, since it covers so many things, there's a lot of underwriting to that. So if someone has had a heart attack or stroke, kidney failure, the chances of them getting that plan, they probably wouldn't be able to get it.
Okay, because there are things like long-term care insurance. I don't qualify for long-term care insurance because I have atrial fibrillation, which they say you will have a stroke and we will have to be paying for you. They're
Correct.
betting that I'll have a stroke, and I'm betting I won't because I take care of myself. So on the payouts for the long term, is there a time? And I guess we have to make this a little fast because we are running down on time.
Well, we don't do long-term care, we do short-term.
You don't, just short-term. And how long will they pay out for short-term?
Up to 2 years.
Short-term care, but
Short-term disability. So if you're
disability,
disabled
okay.
and you can't work, depending, you pick the plan. You can pick it if you want it for 3 months, 6 months. You can go up to 2 years.
That's long-term to me.
Yeah, so I have some clients, like, they've worked for a long time, they have sick time, they have vacation time, they have some savings, so they'll take a 2-year plan, but they'll take like a 30-day elimination period, meaning we're not going to start paying them until day 31. So that's going to lower their premium. But God forbid something catastrophic happens, now we're going to be paying them a portion of their income up to 2 years.
Wow. This has been absolutely fascinating. I could keep picking your brain a lot longer, but we have run out of time.
I could talk about Aflac all day.
I'm quite sure. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and the number on the bottom of your screen is how you can get in touch with Matt if you are interested in Aflac insurance and you have some more questions you'd like to ask him. We'll also put his email address there so that it's very interesting, and I know myself at my age, I think I should be having it.
Absolutely. Everyone should.
Everyone should. You shouldn't not have it. Again, thank you so much for joining us. You have about 5 seconds if there's anything you want to throw in.
You get insurance hoping you're never going to use it, but if you need it, you want to have it.
Great. Thank you so very much. This was wonderful. And we have just